In this special edition of Facing Life Head On, we're looking at the influence of the U.S. Supreme Court on the issue of abortion. I met with Senator Mike DeWine to talk about the future of America if a pro-abortion president is in the White House. Some have said, Senator, that if a pro-abortion president is seated and appoints further pro-abortion Supreme Court justices, and they're confirmed, that this would have decades of effect on abortion on demand for America's future. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. Whoever is elected, it will have a long-term impact. Unlike senators who serve a 6-year term, unlike House members who serve a 2-year term and the voters get a chance to take them out after a few years, Supreme Court nominees, once they're confirmed, are there for life. And even if the president who appointed them is upset with them, or if Congress is upset with them, or the public is upset with them, it doesn't matter. They're going to be there for the rest of their life if they want to be. And as we've seen, sometimes that's 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. It's a long, long, long time.
And we're talking virtually generations to come.
Generations to come. There's a trend towards appointing judges and Supreme Court justices younger and younger. So I think there's every reason to believe that the average Supreme Court justice appointed over the next 20 years will be about 50. So we're talking 30 years into the future.
Starr, you've seen a lot of political change over the years. You've been involved in it. You've been in the thick of it, trying to change and make the world a better place. How would you say the nation has evolved over the last 2 decades regarding, politically, regarding the life issues?
I think we've hardened our heart. I think that there are people that believe that abortion is just established law, and we look the other way. And I think that that is a very dangerous place to be, because the last time we had this big moral question on the table during slavery, the Lord doesn't let the hardness of our heart stay there forever. And unfortunately, during that time, great pain was result, great war, great loss. I'm hoping that we as a nation enter into a real serious repentance. I know that we're not going to go to war, and thank God that those that would get the bizarre disposition to think that they could take justice in their own hand and start shooting doctors and other things that we saw 20 years ago in this country, that has stopped. Because I think what we have that they didn't have during the Civil War era was we have our decent people in these quiet communities that are doing amazing work through our crisis pregnancy centers and many, many others. While we have those that are working legislatively, we have wonderful organizations that are making sure that they keep moving this issue in front of the politicians in Washington. We have others that are doing their work as well. So it is dark, though. I don't want to pretend that, you know, there's great hope out there. I think that most people are just living with that secret sin, and society doesn't mind.
Well, in very practical terms, Marjorie, tell us, connect the dots. Tell us what needs to happen for the Supreme Court to reverse themselves. How is that put in place, and how do the American people play a part in that?
Well, it is very concrete. Every individual vote is going to be directly connected to whether we have a Roe majority on the Supreme Court or a Roe minority on the Supreme Court. Every single person voting in this election will have an impact on whether we are able to get a start to unravel Roe versus Wade. And that's, of course, because our president will be the person who nominates the next justice of the Supreme Court, and the Senate will be the ones who either block or confirm the next one. So we're either looking at a dramatic pro-abortion triple crown among the House and the Senate and the presidency, where we will not be able to affect the court, will not start to roll back Roe versus Wade. Maybe 20 years. For 20 years it could be locked in place that way. You look at the candidates, who do you want making that decision over life and death? In every single race after race, from the top race, from the presidency on down, which one do I want making a decision over who the next Supreme Court justice is? Who do I trust more?
Well, political pundits on both sides of the abortion issue seem to be in agreement that the Supreme Court is closely divided on the abortion issue. That right now there's a pro-abortion majority of 5-4 on the court, with Kennedy sometimes swinging either way. So it appears that abortion is really going to be the focal issue for this next presidential election. Is that true?
Absolutely, yeah. With a 5-4 pro-Roe majority, everything is at stake. Everything is at stake. Who that next justice is will be a life and death decision, and who that next justice is depends on the presidency and on the U.S. Senate. It's just very simple.
And this is where you can make a major impact on those who serve on the Supreme Court. It's up to you to vote for a president that stands up for unborn babies. The outcome will likely affect the judicial landscape for the next 20 years and decide the future of preborn children.